I'll show you one other thing that I've learned that helps out a bunch, and I've considered making a modification of this saw to make it even better, and that's to sight the blade down your log. Now I can't see if you see it in the video, but I'll look down the log here and I'll line up the blade and see if it's gonna go through the bark or not, or if it's too low or too high. I put the blade right at the edge of the bark line, and that way I know that I'm not getting any bark in my wood, and I'm getting the most out of the log. Otherwise, if you don't sight the blade, sometimes you'll end up with really crappy boards that you can't really use. So that's been a really helpful thing to learn. Alright, so I actually went ahead and swapped out the blade. It was a little bit too dull for my liking. So this is what it looks like with the blade covers off. I'll go ahead and put them back on. There's a tensioner right here. You want to make sure that you run that tight enough. If you don't run it tight enough, your blade will actually lift up on your log, and you're going to see a little slope on your cut. I noticed when I first started cutting logs with this saw, I was getting a lot of that, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong. It was because I wasn't running the blade tight enough. I don't really have a magic number. I guess if you had a torque wrench, you could kind of figure out where it needs to be. I just tighten it till it's tight enough that I feel comfortable running it that way. So we'll go ahead and stick the blade covers on. And you can see the saw is creeping on me like I was saying earlier. And then I'll go back ahead and cut this, finish this with this cut. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and flip this 180 degrees and do the other side. Okay, so on this cut, I'll want to go ahead and use the depth guide on the mill. This is really handy. So you can see this is what you have for a depth guide. Because I'm after an 8-inch cut, I'll want to go ahead, I need both hands to do this, engage the clutch for it, drop it down to 8 inches. Now this is an 1/8 of an inch kerf on this blade, so I'm going to go 1/8 and 1/8, or 8 and 1/8, and this thing is really accurate, so that's exactly what the width of the wood will be. That 1/8 of an inch will give me an 1/8 here, so when I cut at 4, this will be dead on 4 inches, and then this will be dead on 4 inches, so I'll get my 2 4x4s out of it that way. And then I'll go ahead and make the cut now. All right, so now we have our 8 by whatever this is, looks like about 1 foot. So maybe we'll get quite a few 4x4s out of this thing. I'm gonna go ahead and flip it so that the tall end is up. Now I like to actually have this front end of the log up on this right here when it comes to the clamp, up on this brace, just because you can set it up like this and you still have something to roll up against. That's why I'm having to use this one, because we had to move it back for that branch. So now I have it up where I want it. Go ahead, set that. Set that. So we're at 11 inches of good wood, which doesn't really work well for divisible by 4. So I'll get like a 2x6 or a 2x8 out of the top of it. That's all right. I'm gonna go ahead and set up for my first 4x8 slab. And this is where I used that template. Technically I could go off of the measuring guide, but I like to be able to see what I'm getting exactly. All right, so what I've done here is just put the two 4x8s together, and then I'm gonna run a cut right through the middle, and I'll have 4 4x4s. All right, so there you go. 4 4x4s. That's all I need for today. Probably took me an hour with all the setup and everything. You know, if I was up here for more, I would have been able to get a lot more done. Actually, it's probably only a half an hour, but you get an idea. I mean, with me talking on the video and such, it takes a little bit longer. I could probably get this done in a half an hour if I really wanted to. But that's the Easy Boardwalk Junior. You know, I'll catch you on the next video. Probably it might be a month or so before I get to the next one, and hopefully I'll have news on the land and a little bit more news on the small house build.